Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring Kostja. In our bottom left corner playing our blue Protoss, and in the bottom right we have ViperXk, our red Terran. Both players I believe are in Diamond. I think Viper is Kostja, I don't know. But we're in Diamond and we are on the ladder, and we are going to be watching a replay on Entombed Valley, which is a great map. You've got the nice little ramp that's kind of in line with the larger ramp leading down to the common ground, which is chopped up by that nice little crevice right there, denying the surrounds. Little protective envelope for your siege tanks, if you will. Natural is also very well defended, kind of exposed up on the top, just for drops and reapers and whatnot. But with only one pathway into it, it is nice. It kind of favors the two base play for Entombed Valley. You can take a third. You have to take out the destructible debris, and you have to be expanding towards your opponent in this instance. But even though you have those drawbacks, the third is actually very well defended in its own regard. The ramp is very close to the ramp leading into the natural, and with those destructible debris down, you can reinforce it very quickly. It's also very close by air if you go that route. In this matchup, it is close by ground. You do have the contested fourth in the middle, probably the fourth that's going to be up north as the game progresses. If we go to that super macro mode, then we will be seeing expansions far into the north. Usually people bypass the fourth here because it's so exposed, and they'll go up even farther to the top left and start taking out the spawn points there. Looks like both players are scouting in the opposite directions, in the wrong directions, but Viper's getting his wall off now, and with Kostja scouting in the wrong direction, it looks like he's going to suffer the most from this, because since his probe's not going to get there in time to get into the base, he's not going to see if any gas has been grabbed by Viper, and that's going to work against him. Conversely, Kostja hasn't constructed any form of a wall off on the top, even down by his natural, so no Forge Fast Expand for this guy. He's going for that Cybernetics core, and he's also gotten that gas already. And with Viper's SCV, as long as it gets in before the Stalker goes up, and it probably will, he's scouting the second of 3 spawning points right now, he'll be able to get in before that Stalker gets up, and he'll be able to get in and see the gas, which is really what's important, which is really what you want to look for. Command center being built, 1 Rocks Fast Expand out of Viper. Still no gas out of this kid. He's just working, getting out the mineral units first, Marines, bunker on the low ground, and finally getting gas. Actually, I don't think he's started constructing that bunker just yet. He probably will once his scouting drone gets back. Single Marine in position to deny the scout. Let's see what type of micro Viper can do. Some pretty good stutter step right there. Actually succeeds in taking the probe down to red. He could have killed it even without that wall off, I'm sure, but with the wall off constructed, Kostja is denied the scout that Viper just now gets. Sees the single gas up, sees that there's no constructed pylons that are missing, sees that the single gateway is up, so no cheese out of Kostja. He does, oh, that's a nice play from Kostja, hiding his probe on the north side just so he can get enough money to throw down that Nexus, and then waiting until the SCV is down before actually throwing down the Nexus, so that Viper does not know 100% if the expansion went up. It's pretty safe to assume, what with there not being anything constructed and there's no double gas, but still it's impossible to guess if it's not going to be like some sort of 3-gate pressure once the Cybernetics core is done. A little bit of pressure coming out of Kostja, but that's just a poke of the front door, and with the bunker done, Viper's not going to have any problem holding back this aggression. A reactor being built on the barracks, going to be used for the factory once the factory is done, so some reactor Hellions coming out of Viper. I have mixed feelings about this. Hellions are absolutely useless against Protoss. They're nice against Zealots, I guess, but unless he's going like a super Zealot build, it's not going to be the most useful thing in straight up fights. What Viper needs to do to make this work is to do a bunch of drops, do a bunch of harassments with those Blue Flame Hellions, if he's going to get Blue Flame. And it looks like with the second factory going down, probably a tech lab on the, yep, there goes a tech lab on the barracks. Blue Flame Hellions, for that matter, can destroy everything in this little box very, very quickly. All those probes are going to die incredibly fast as long as the Hellions can get in there. And on a map like this, you have this huge open expanse where you can hide medevacs and get them into the third. And once Viper saturates his natural, that'll be 2 different places for Viper to attack with his Hellions. And he's getting out quite a lot already. The tech lab is done. Factory, once it's finished, is going to take advantage of that. And with the starport being built, that's probably going to be for medevacs for the drops. Unless Viper just intends to throw down a bunch of barracks behind this harassment and macro out a bunch of Marines. No, but it doesn't appear to be that. He's actually getting 2 more gas, which is usually your marker for mech. And with the infrastructure he already has in place, then absolutely it looks like it's going to be a heavy mech play out of Viper. Mech, very slow, very ponderous, very careful. The damage you do early game with the Hellions buy you enough time to get out the siege tanks later on. And then the Thors after that, after the upgrades kick in. Awesome build. And it looks like Viper is proceeding down his path. Just really ready for any sort of aggression coming out of Kostja. Kostja does have a lot, 6 gateways built right now, and he's using the excess money income that he has to get the armor upgrades and the charge for the zealots. So Viper has to be very careful with his Hellions. He can't afford to lose a bunch of them out in the common ground to the fast zealots, and the units out right now really can't compete with the Hellions speed-wise, but the medevac is allowing the Hellions to get in behind enemy lines. Looks like Infernal Pre-Igniter, the Blue Flame, is going to be finishing very shortly, and there is nothing, not even an observer out on the field. The robotics facility is just now started for Kostja, so he's not going to see this medevac until it's literally on top of his probes. At the same time, we have 4 Hellions moving out from Viper's main base, positioning themselves by the 4th. So what's going to happen is Viper's going to move in with this first medevac, drop off at the probes, and then once Kostja reacts, he's going to pull back his units, just now happening, and that's going to leave an opening for Viper to move in with his second group of Hellions down into the natural, and we'll watch this happen. Nice movement by Viper, getting the maximum recharge per movement ratio. Oh, but it looks like he's moved his Hellions into the main base rather than into the probe line down at the natural. All the probes have gone down. All the Hellions have gone down instead of the probes, but 15 workers killed. This has already paid for itself, and with the saturation down at the main base going down, Viper is in a good, really good position. He lost quite a lot of resources, a lot of minerals from those Hellions, but the amount of money that's going to be lost in the future from Kostja, because he can't mine with a saturation that's absolutely shot. Look at that, 50 to 25. Usually probes far outnumber the SCVs in a Terran versus Protoss, because you know they can get chrono boosted out, and the mules from Terran kind of offset that, but the loss of just pure probes there is absolutely huge. That buys Viper a ridiculous amount of time. He's got to be feeling very good about himself. A little bit of a misstep by moving in to the main base with those Hellions rather than going down to the natural, but even with that misstep, it was so incredibly successful. He's got to be feeling very secured. 2 siege tanks on the low ground, probably enough to push this back. Archon's not going to be enough to tank all the damage, especially if another one forming in. And the Hellions just waiting in the wings. Those zealots would have died incredibly quick. But that's exactly why that harassment is so important. If that harassment had not happened, if Kostja had been able to expend all the money that he just blew on buying probes on this army, he could have absolutely taken down that front door, because there were only 3 siege tanks there. Medevac, 2 medevacs moving off into opposite directions. This one's going to get scouted by the observer as long as Kostja is watching. If it's not, he's going to get in. It looks like he's got 2 stalkers waiting in the wings for this harassment. We'll have to keep an eye on the minimap for the other medevac. It's probably going to wind up at the natural also. So another drop. This time we are at 35 over 62. And again, the Hellions make it into the main base. There's no static defenses. A very quick warp in from Kostja, but again, those are all stalkers that get warped in at this mineral patch, and the one to the north, which we can watch the medevac quickly approach it, is going to be unprotected again. We were at 35, we're at 29, so that's a pretty good loss. Not as successful as the last one, but it doesn't need to be as successful. It just needs to constantly keep Kostja on his back foot, constantly keep him afraid and contained. Buying Viper enough time to get his units out. He's producing 2 siege tanks at a time. 1-1 is on the way for his mech. Again, the Hellions pouring in. Again, just decimating that saturation. That is just terrible. Very quick reaction out of Kostja, and he's getting in fast enough, but the Hellions only need a couple of seconds to take out all those probes, and we had a good saturation on that natural, and now we have a single probe working. 19 over 64. Viper really doesn't need to do anything now except for take a third and constantly create siege tanks and Hellions and work his way towards Thors. A couple of Vikings out on the field, no detection though, so that observer sees that Viper's got a ridiculously huge army and is just waiting for a chance to push out. He's already taken that third, he's already saturating it and building his siege tanks on the low ground to secure the ramp. Ooh, Kostja's pushing forward again, having a moment respite. He needs to get in there and do a lot of economic damage, things that could get him into this game, some harassment of his own, a warp prism. He's got the robotics facility up already, and he's got the money, he's got a lot of warp gates, so he can afford to move in a bunch of zealots, but it looks like he's just sacrificing all of his zealots, going down almost instantly from the combined fire from the siege tanks and Hellions. Hellions go down in turn from the stalkers, but the Hellions are really just there to absorb damage and keep the stalkers away from doing damage to the siege tanks. A scan and a dead observer. Wow, 60 over 130 supply. Viper is so heavily in the lead. Kostja needs to either Dark Shrine to get back into this and just kill a couple of probe lines for himself, or he needs to do some sort of airplay like the warp prism, which would also be very good. Really, he just needs probes. I mean, he's got a good saturation down at the main, but it looks like he's rallying all of his units there rather than saturating his natural. I think he wanted to take a third by now, but just does not have the money for it. He's feeling pretty bad right now, I'm sure. Well, Viper, though, he's got a great infrastructure up. He's got 4 or 5 factories constantly producing units. Ghost out on the field for the EMP with the Ghost Academy working on Cloak. Cloak's not the most useful thing in the world unless you're really trying to get your ghosts on top of the Protoss army, which is not something that Viper needs to do. Viper just needs to constantly produce siege tanks. He's running out of supply. Almost 200 over 174. It looks like he's sacrificing some Hellions, doing some damage to the Nexus, which is not the best thing in the world, but just harassment. Maybe he was expecting a good saturation at that third. Finds a good saturation down at the natural. The harvester count had repaired itself back up to 30, but oh man, there it goes again. Hellions getting caught off guard. This was a net loss for Viper, I assume, but with him so commandingly in the lead and being able to produce what's he's got 2 factories with a reactor and a third reactor waiting in the wings. He can just make so many Hellions, it's not even funny. It's kind of funny, but it's not really funny. It's also kind of sad. So 200 supply over 73. Really surprising that Viper just hasn't decided to end this right now, pushing into the main base. The army that Kostja has is basically non-existent, and the siege tanks, they don't even need to siege up. They could just walk in there. Upgrades are kind of in his favor. 2-1 with level 2 weapons just now finishing, and 2-2 less than halfway done for Viper. But even a 3-3 against 1-1 army that's outnumbered this bad really isn't gonna help Kostja at all. He's got the infrastructure, he just doesn't have the money. The saturation is shot to poop, and he hasn't protected his probes as well as he should. He's got 3 bases, but enough probes to saturate one of them. Ghosts getting mixed into the mix. This is going to be a terrible battle. This is going to be awful. Nexus, the nuke is done also, just to add insult to injury. And here we go. The Hellions coming up onto the high ground. The siege tanks just pondering in too. It looks like Kostja knows that this expansion is completely done. He's finally getting out of warp prism, so that's a good pull. But Viper's sending a single ghost up to the natural, cloaked. 3 of them, wow. And it looks like he's using one of them to hail down the nuke. A little push from Kostja, kind of a counterattack. There's nothing at home to defend. A couple of SCVs pulled, but that bunker goes down almost instantly. The nuke decimating every probe there. Oh my goodness, the Nexus remains up because Viper's decided to pull back, which is probably a good idea. He doesn't need to take out the rest of Kostja's infrastructure. He just needs to take out the army for this to be done with. And it looks like everything is going down almost instantly, not even bothering to siege up the tanks, just moving in, kind of stutter-stepping the siege tanks. Last Archon falls, and now all Viper has to do is 1A into the main base to finish this. It looks like he's grabbed his 4th already, has another siege tank, or a command center being built on the low ground, probably just a planetary fortress to defend, though who knows at this point. 50 supply over 173, getting a Raven just for some added detection, and that's the sort of things you can do, you can afford to do as you get so monstrously far ahead. Hellion count has receded a little bit, but with this many siege tanks, you can basically one-shot everything that walks way too close to you. 2-2 is done, and 3 is on the way for Protoss, but you know what? That armor is going to be used for what? There's nothing. There's a single stalker out, right? Yeah, 6 stalkers and a High Templar against 19 siege tanks and 12 Hellions, which have found the natural expansion. Don't worry, that stalker's there. He can handle it. The Nexus goes down. It looks like Kostja is trying some shenanigans in the top left corner. Just some, I guess, protection against the base trade possibility. But without a unit to take out the armies there, I don't think Kostja is going to be in position to do anything. It's basically just going to die very, very quickly and slowly, actually, with that Nexus up there. The Ghost is in position. Yeah, I thought he was going to do another nuke call down on the only probes that are less. The handful over in the natural aren't mining right now. Income is at 400. Kind of want to watch it. You can check out the mini-map, too, up here. On the top right corner, there is another Nexus being built. Viper's just siege tanking this whole place to smithereens. 199 to 22 supply. So Kostja is just deciding to make it so that Viper works as hard as he possibly can. Good idea by Viper, just checking out to see if the... oh, he sends it right to... I wonder how he knew that that was there. I don't know. I don't think he scanned it. I'm almost positive he didn't scan it. I don't think there is a way for him to know that it was there. I guess it was just a lucky chance. 4 nukes on the way. Let me see. The only structures that are left for Kostja are the handful that's right here. The Stalker's finally getting in on the action, but I think it might be too late. Double assimilators, a Nexus, Nexus, another Nexus, and the Hellions are still working on the one up in the top left corner, but that one finally goes down as the siege tanks get there. So, money-wise, Kostja's out of it. I think, yeah, the Raven has scouted the Warp Prism. He's probably just going to hang around until the Vikings catch up. Where are the 3 nukes? Three nuke call-downs? Where are the other ones? Is it all right there? How many? There's only 1 Ghost. I wonder... Huh. Yeah, it was just the 1. So, the assimilators go down. I apologize how riveting this is to you guys, but... I really want to just see this through to the end. 4 supply right now. The Warp Prism has succeeded in defending himself, and it looks like he's got a single probe out on the field and an observer. Where is the observer? I don't see it. Oh, it's right here. So that Nexus down at the 3rd goes down. Another expansion. These siege tanks are just barely going to miss that Nexus, I think. Yeah, just barely miss it. Oh, but the Medevac's going to see it. Oh, maybe not. Wow. Oh, he did see it. Okay, good. So he definitely saw that. He's discovered 2 of the 4 Nexus. Oh, Viper. I'm surprised that neither of them have, BM'd at all lately. I don't know if that's BM. I think that's just a plea, because we're going on the 30-minute mark right now. Yeah, 25-minute mark, and I think Kostja should have left after the 2nd Hellion harass, I think, because it's just so wildly successful. 3 nukes have been built. I'm looking forward to them going out. 3-3 just in case there was a come behind. The Nexus is going down. Alright. I wonder, do you guys have a successful way to find Nexus that people are hiding around the base? Do you just send your units one at a time around? I think this is 3 nukes, actually. Yeah, all 3 of those guys are calling down nukes. And with 32 hit points, I don't think it's going to be very successful. It did not. It died very quickly. This is the only one that's hasn't been scouted, I believe. Checking the mini-map. No, it has not been scouted. And we also have the Warp Prism. on the bottom left side. Viper explaining why it's okay for him to nuke the Nexus. Oh man. I think the best way to do this would be to lift off your buildings and just send them in every direction. Yeah. Sending them in every direction is probably your best bet. And then the worst part is, since you can't see anything, you have to, oh yeah, scanning's probably a good idea too. Build a bajillion orbital commands. It looks like he's out of energy though. Warp Prism scouted again, and there's a couple of Vikings on the field. How many? 3 Vikings. So if they can close, oh, it's right there. So the Warp Prism has gone down, and just the Nexus remains. Is that the only? Oh, he's got the Observer too. Oh no, he scouted it. He scouted it. The scans. The scans. SCV is starting, but we know how this is going to end. Oh. Has anyone ever done this where you're gloating? You're absolutely gloating right now. And you can dance, you can do whatever you want to, like, you know, the whole Manor Nexus, the Manor Mules. But I'm sure you guys have done this. It's such a good feeling to win, and then you just start to play once you've won. And then the worst is whenever you have won and you're playing, and then all of a sudden you've lost because some other people haven't decided to just stop and play. They are actually taking the game seriously, and they're macroing. 1, 2, and 3 nukes, a couple of shots from the siege tanks. This is a good game. Hey guys, this is it for me. This was hilarious. Thanks Viper for posting it, and thanks for being Manor throughout the entire thing. If you guys have a comment, you could leave me a comment. If you have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary. Bye.